Some of you will have heard the word conspiracy theory. I should imagine all of you have. And it's a dirty word these days. And anybody that says conspiracy theory, most people gasp and they go, oh, another load of rubbish. Well, conspiracy theories, or that term, was really pushed after the shooting of JFK because too many people were coming forward with saying, I heard a bullet coming from the grassy knoll or in that direction, and certainly not from the school book depository. And if that had been the case, that would have meant there's more than two shooters, or at least two shooters, and that would then have been a conspiracy, and somebody had a theory on there being more than two. Conspiracy theory, there you go. However, since then, there's been conspiracy theories on everything from Roswell, moon landings, etc., you name it, there is one on it. However, this is an interesting one about why it's kicked off between Israel, etc., over there at the moment. And it says here, the Suez Canal, basically. Now, some of you will remember going back a little while ago when a female captain got a bit out of shape in the Suez Canal and grounded a boat, which stopped well, it's a massive boat, actually, to be fair, and it stopped any shipping going down there for a while. And it had a massive effect on world economy, trade, because if you can't go through there, you have to go around Africa, and that is some trek, and it's not exactly the most nicest route, to be honest. So many years ago, and I'll give you a bit of history here, basically the Suez Canal was opened with a grand ceremony 17th of November 1869, 154 years ago when this was written. Basically, the canal has helped facilitate cutting out the major trip all around Africa and saving a massive amount of time on shipping goods from basically, where is it's got to come from? Oh my God, because I'm not very good at this. From the Eastern Mediterranean to the Red Sea, heading through the Indian Ocean and connection Europe and Asia. There you go. This is a massive amount of money that goes into the economy in, I believe, Egypt. I think it's about 8 billion a year, possibly more. However, there have been a few occasions because there was a pact sign that made everybody, it was going to be allowed to go through this without being hassled or stopped or whatever. This didn't happen. And there have been occasions where it's been blockaded. There was a time when it was obviously taken over. And there has been time when Israel hasn't been able to sail its ships through. Not the only people, but at times they've been hindered. It was supposed to be impartial during the Second World War even, although the Americans did use it somewhat more than the enemy. However, current day is this. It's a massive choke point. You can only sail a ship in one direction, I believe, at a time through certain parts of it. That slows things up. And yes, if there is a problem with that particular canal, massive problems. So back in the 60s, late 60s, the president of Israel at the time had come up with the idea. It was called the Gurion Canal Project. And the idea was, let's see if you can see that. You can see that route there. I don't know if you can actually see my mouse on there. You probably can't. But basically, up above me, which will be over there, you'll see it's highlighted or green lighted. It's got a curve in it. But look at the map. Look at the route it takes. Now, it's said that the idea being is that they want to open up this canal, which is going to cost something between 16 and 60 billion, or maybe more than that. It's going to take 5 years. And they had a plan back in the early days to use nuclear weapons or nuclear bombs to excavate, because it goes through some pretty interesting countryside, to be quite honest. Anyway, it was shelved and it hasn't happened yet. However, if it does, it will be a massive difference to Israel. Israel will earn billions off it a year. It will also have more sway in the area. It will also be able to come to the table with a bit more clout. It will help because when the oil comes through, say, for instance, the Suez, and the Suez gets blocked, that has a massive knock-on effect to the oil industry. And nobody likes to stop the oil industry, because the moment that happens, then we all pay extra at the pumps. I mean, I can't say that this won't financially benefit all of us. However, this does give Israel a lot more leverage in the region. It also goes and pisses the Arabs off, and the Arabs will want to do anything they can to stop this happening. And obviously, I mean, when you start losing billions, that's a big deal, isn't it? Heads are going to roll for this business. But it's also that I believe the Chinese want to make some sort of connection via rail to bring a lot of their products through. And this is a problem. But obviously, Israel wants to put this canal in place. And if it does, yeah, it'll be beneficial to us. But there are people in the way at the moment, which you can see from that map. Now, this person does bring to our attention that Israel, being one of the most highly motivated when it comes to security, intelligence, etc., it has the finest intelligence service in the world. It can spy on just about anybody around the world, and literally you can't get anything past them without them knowing. So how is it that these attacks went on a few weeks back without Israel knowing anything about it? Well, I'm suggesting that they did, but that's quite a thing to say, isn't it? Now, we know that there were people who were around the border that had weapons taken off them shortly before. Why? But imagine you have people in the way of you obtaining your objective. So you create a thing, or you help a thing be created. And then you scream and shout and you say that it's unfair and all the rest of it. Then you wage a war against said people. And then after a said time of you getting your own way and maybe winning said war, because your military might is quite impressive, you then get to build your canal. Not to mention the mining rights around that area are pretty good, actually. There's a massive amount of gas and a massive amount of oil, but I don't suppose they'd do any of this for money, would they? They're not motivated. They're certainly not motivated, driven by money. No, not at all. But it is interesting. And rather than me try and painfully read through all of this, as you know, I'm quite useless, I will simply say go to the Middle East Monitor and type in, or basically just go onto Google, it's there, right? And type in the Gurion Canal project, and you'll get all the proposed routes, when it was proposed, why it's proposed, who's going to benefit more from it, Israel. And although I have to say that, right, that even though financially speaking and power-wise in the region, Israel will be over the moon by this, it will financially benefit all of us, because at the moment, with there only being one route, you can be held to ransom a little bit. But if there's two options, then you've got like competition, and then that should help financially the movement of goods in that area, which will benefit us. So I don't want a war and people suffering and innocent people get murdered and splattered and horrible stuff going on just to make the price of my oil cheaper. But there again, I've got a conscience. However, it'll go ahead anyway because it's got nothing to do with us. And this thing, the weekend, will just purely, I mean, when you look at just how much more is going on behind the scenes, you realize that we are possibly the most naive bunch of people there are. Now, there's going to be a lot of people from Islam come out and kick off because their enemies come in and having a pop at them. And they've been told to come out and have a pop because this is a financial impact on Islam, because Islam is the ones that are in control of the Suez, all right? Egypt, etc., yeah? And they do not want, and they have not wanted Israel to get this canal together. Now, the Americans are quite heavily involved in this canal, I'm led to believe, and I dare say that we probably are as well. But there it is. What do you reckon? What is it? So what was she saying? What does it have to do with the 7th of October 2023? Well, it just so happens that Gaza is slap bang in the middle of the proposed path for the major second canal region. Gaza is currently being bombed to oblivion by a deranged Israeli leader, she is quite one-sided, Benjamin Netanyahu, who wants to deliver the Ben Gurion Canal project. Yes, Tel Aviv already has a name for the canal, which was first proposed back in the 60s. It would connect the Gulf of Aqaba, I guess, to the Red Sea, to the Mediterranean Sea, and would even be named after the first Prime Minister of Israel. The canal would rival Egypt's Suez Canal, causing a major financial threat to the country and this major trade artery. Remember the global trade disaster causing a huge container ship, the Ever Given, got stuck in the famous canal back in 21, and the Straits of Tehran and the Suez Canal remain formally closed to Israel vessels for the creation of Israel in 48. And this goes on in some of the details, like in 56 and when things changed and when it was blocked by the Arabs and the Israelis' ability to trade with the East, Africa and Asia, and it goes on. It goes on about the 56 to 57, then the 67 to 75 when it was closed. But yeah, the cost, 16 to 55 billion. There you go. Not exactly small potatoes, is it? However, do I want this canal built? Yeah. But do I want it to be built at the expense of other people? No. So it's a bit of a quandary, really, isn't it? I think if the Gazans were going to, if it goes through Gaza, if the Gazans were going to make a money out of it and all the rest of it, then I would say it was probably a better thing. But will they? I doubt it. This is one of those things that it's probably more of the reason of why it's going off over there than just reasons. There's always money to be, and this is, as I say, 16 to 55 billion. Who are the contractors going to be for making that? They're going to have some sway. But the other thing is that if it takes 4 billion a year off the enemy, and the Arabs are the enemy to, to Israel, then that'll be another thing, won't it? And weakening the Arabs' position in that area, and this canal is a massive leverage, okay? There it is. So this could be one of the main reasons it's going off at the moment in the Middle East. I'm not saying it's the only reason. Historically speaking, they've not exactly been the best of friends, have they? And as I say, they've just claimed some rights to mining and stuff like that. But whether that's to do with this or whether it's to do with the oil that they found and the gas, who knows? I'd say more the oil and the gas. But there's always two sides to every argument, isn't there? And so don't trust either side. So go and have a look for yourself. But I was given this by the legendary Misery, I should say, our resident miserable bag. That is not having it. Well, that's what his name is on Discord. That's the guy that rings in a lot. But he's got a bigger or a better head on his shoulders than give him credit for, because he knows quite a bit. And he pointed this out to me. And when I look at it, I went, do you know what? I'll tell the others about this and see what they think. Let me know what you think. I mean, obviously, I'm very vague with geography. I never had any interest in going off around the world because I was quite liked my own country. So geographically constipated I am. All right. So I'm learning this as I go. You know me, without a sat nav, I probably wouldn't be able to make it out of Western without getting lost. And even that I still fuck up with. Never been a traveller, never wanted to. So I've never paid any attention to what goes on around the world. However, you do find the left are the ones that want to travel a lot and go and see the world. So they might know more about this. Who knows? But I am now having to learn about stuff that I otherwise wouldn't have paid any interest in. There are going to be people that are watching this that are going to say, well, what about this? What about that? What about the other? Well, what about you put it in the comments and educate the rest of us? That'd be the best bet. Anyway, thanks for watching my stuff. And I will see you in the next video, which probably won't be very long. Catch you in a bit.